Are you a person who's looking for meaning in life or looking for purpose in life? Today's episode is going to answer exactly that. Welcome to All Things Leadership Podcast. My name is Unhlakanipho Wagahatebe, and it is an honor to be able to host this show with one of the best guests ever, and we're able to discover him because we speak to people who are executing on their dreams. But today's episode is more than just a podcast. It's a dialogue. We're going to be having a lovely conversation about life and about how things are done in life. So enjoy the episode and let us welcome Mr. Thulani Yeyeye Gumede.
Oh.
Wait. Ngiyaphila.
Siyabonga.
Kumnandi ukukuthola la, yazi?
Because kuyintokozo mfethu ukuba la, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess because this is a conversation.
It is,
right?
Yeah.
Do you think what do you think about the spaza shop economy in South Africa?
Wow, this is where we start. Yo, last night I had a long conversation with someone, just discussing that. In line of work, it was sales, so I'm focused to deal with retailers and wholesalers, but the biggest focus, of course, it's wholesalers. So growing up, spazas, the way just something, but we never really took them serious.
Yes.
Until now, that now they're beginning to realize that so there's a book that I've been reading, Economics, Uchichi Alcock. He also so it's a big economy. Figures varies. It's an economy close to go 1 trillion.
What?
Yeah, and it makes sense of it because when you look at the Doleng Sebenza, you always see these people from amanye amazwe pushing trolleys, and uyababona abanye behlanganisa phambi kwakho, all of a sudden nayibo lo muntu drive ibhakhe efence kanje.
Sure.
So what I'm trying to say by that, ama opportunities akhona, but at times when you undermine something, you don't get to see full value of that thing. Whatever it may be, if we undermine a lot, value. I think it was quite interesting that we are talking about this. Not so long ago, I was watching a podcast where this gentleman, Lion King, was complaining about this comedian who made fun of intro Lion King. When ukhuluma kabi ngalento, affective value,
yes, Sure.
So even a value, when you don't really appreciate it or you try to diminish it, kwabanye abantu that thing ingadiminiseka.
Sure.
The neighborhood where we stay might have a big value, but when you start to spread rumors and lies with crime and whatnot, then people will begin to sell or look away.
Yeah.
And by looking away, then value diminish. So spaza shops they're quite big,
Sure. And where did we lose it as a country?
It's difficult, because there are many elements at play, and of course I'm trying by all means not to speak without coming across as if ngizama ukukhuluma about abantu abathile wrong,
Yeah.
But I think the issue of education plays a major role. When you really educate society, it's for people to really understand, the economy and the elements.
Yeah.
Like right now, there's a book I'm busy with. That book is linked with basics, I've enjoyed studying up to E-level that I studied, but one thing that I can say, especially with academics, they tend to miss some basics.
Sure.
Yeah, so they are so quick to speak about biggest terminologies and all that.
Sure.
But when you come to the fundamentals, I'm realizing a lot of people are lacking,
Yeah.
When we talk about the economy and how the economy is interwoven, we look at ilendo like the sensitivity now when you look at the maspaza shops. I work for one of the biggest companies in South Africa, and whenever kunama riots and people are trying to attack abantu bokufika,
Yeah.
as a person who's involved with my sales, I know the cause and effect of that.
Sure.
When this group of spaza owners decide out of fear, we're not gonna order the stock because what if I order and then these people come, they loot, Them delaying their purchases, that thing, it filters up the chain, and all of a sudden, I'm left with this big stock that I cannot sell to these big customers of mine. Because these customers of mine, they sell to these guys, and these guys, they sell to the communities, So all these things are linked, So when people on the ground, they're active, they are finding opportunities. You get this phone, you get a second phone, you sell it, When people on the floor, on the ground are active in terms of selling, then there is a movement of the economy.
Sure.
So economy is interlinked and interwoven, and that's another thing when you realize some of the countries in Africa are work progressive, not because people are not willing, but because they don't have the infrastructure. So when there's a movement of goods at a highest pace, and the roads are good, when you send goods from here to a Freiheit, they can get there today.
Sure.
It's not like when it's raining, then the goods get stuck.
Matters,
Even exporting to other African countries, you get goods getting stuck at the border for 21 days.
Yeah.
There's corruption, there's all that. So all those elements, they then come back to affect the economy,
Sure.
So, and then all of a sudden, I'm trying to sell some goods, but I'm stuck with these goods, and it's my loss.
Cool.
And then I'm going to pull out a little business. But when the corruption, the infrastructure is good, the network, we're communicating via WhatsApp now. I was coming from another place, but we could talk. So when the systems in place are good and they're conducive, then kubane growth, So the reason why I'm sharing that, I want people to understand there are many elements at play. There's a government, and then there is just communities, because there are people who will visit South Africa, and when they come here, they see crime rate is high. Then all of a sudden, they don't want to be part of this country. It means they won't bring their money in.
Sure.
And when they don't bring their money in, then the whole thing is going to affect the economy, because uma inkampani enkulu isebenza iqesha abantu abawu-5,000, those people are working, bazothenga amafoni, bathenga incwadi zethu, bathenga ama-airtime,
Sure.
So there's movement of things in the economy. But
Sure.
when one unit falls, then
it's crazy, bro.
there's a chain reaction, there's a knock-on effect,
Sure.
Yeah, so yeah.
Is your observation towards as you're doing my sales, did it inspire you to want to write Kubambe Zingelayo?
Interestingly, that's very true. Yeah, that's very true, because Kubambe Zingelayo, what I do in that book, I try again to just write in a very basic manner, just trying to show abantu ukuthi just one company. Let me talk about Hewlett Sugar.
Yes.
There's someone who's working in my field, but they plant sugar, and then there's someone who's gonna drive a tractor, and then there's someone ohesha umoba, and then there's someone who's a driver that sugar cane from the plantations to the mill where the sugar is going to be crushed. That plantation or that mill is employ ama-security, employ abantu abacleanayo, employ abantu bakwa-HR, employ abantu about-engineering, employ abantu abenza izinto ey'ningi, So it's just one company, but all of a sudden there's a job creation that happens, Nama-lawyers, accountants,
Sure.
sales, just from one industry, So, and then that sugar is processed and then it's packed. Then somebody's going to transport the sugar from the factory to the warehouse, the custom. There's a movement,
Sure.
So what I did by that, I was trying to show people at times it's about short-sighted. that you end up not seeing all these opportunities, just one industry, there are many opportunities that are there. I think there's one thing that I said in that book that now it's been challenging me, I said something, Uguti, whenever you stand like at a distance and you look at a city, you must always know, Uguti, there are opportunities there that are waiting for you, I think it's very important to have that mindset, because I think ekhathini is the closed mindset to hey, things are not looking good for me. There are no opportunities. I think I remember reading in one of T.D. Jakes' books where he said, people with a clear mindset, you can strip them off, ship them to another country. They land there, they are naked, they don't know anyone there. But those people will make things work in that country when they arrive, So this thing of the mindset, it's something that I've been trying to really speak into.
Sure.
Yeah.
How do I shift my mindset from being a pessimistic person to being an optimistic person?
Yeah, that's a good one. In the end of it, so let me talk about. I've seen two types. Not two, but let me talk about two types. I've seen myself growing up in an environment where I grew up feeling like there's more to life than this.
Sure.
At times you can't even point a finger to that thing. This is what I want. This is how am I gonna get it? You just feel like, in this community, I look around, the people are comfortable, but there's more to life than this.
Yeah.
So you get that group of people, they don't know exactly, they don't have a complete picture of what they want, but they are convinced. I see my friends or whoever that I'm hanging around with, they are content with whatever that they have. But me personally, I feel there's so much in life.
Yeah.
And then you get that group, those group of people.
Yeah.
And then you get that other group, just a group of people who are not clear about what they want, but by them associating with the right people, that thing spark or whatever, it rubs off, and then all of a sudden,
I probably fall into that bracket.
It's beautiful because if you can really associate yourself with the right people, you are able to be transformed. So I think people must really check the people they hang around with. Because I've seen it even at this stage. It's good to be content because of gratitude, but it's another thing when you are just stagnant in life. You are no longer driven. I think it's a problem. So I think it's really, really important to associate yourself with the right people. And just see them striking deals. I think it does something. Yeah.
And how did you discover purpose in life? Because I'll tell you where this question is coming from. I've been observing you quite a lot. You are more than willing to pour out your life into other people's lives. You want to empower abanye abantu. Someone might be facing a certain struggle in their lives, and then when you just send them a book or something, beyond the motivation, and if I receive something free, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily free. It means that someone has paid for it.
Very true.
But if you've got that foresight of seeing ukuthi umuntu can be pulled out of isimo esinzima, and there must be something that's bigger than just what you see on the surface. What gave you meaning and what gave you purpose?
Thank you so much. And then I don't remember really a point where I crossed the line and then it was like, now I've crossed this line, now I understand the purpose, other than the salvation. Salvation, that was clear, that is important, But coming back to that point I highlighted, it's always been this thing, Uguti, I see a paper finally closed, I finally leave a pants. So I've always had that thing with me, Uguti, something is broken, it needs to be fixed, you know. So, and I found the purpose just by me trying to fix these small things that are in front of me.
Love it.
And in so doing, ngibone sengiba nento engathi i-purpose. Because whether we are talking about the issue of a father losing a child, you know, when we went through that, I'm like, how come there are no books by fathers who lost their children, you know? Okay, I've lost a child now. We've lost a child, and I'm a father. How do I go about in terms of grief, you know?
And especially as a black man.
Yeah, I then started reading around. I couldn't find books. I'm like, okay, there's no book. Let me write a book. You see, there's a gap. I try to close the gap, you know. The issues of men and vulnerability, mental health. I'm like, people are dying in South Africa. Not only in South Africa, most of the countries, the statistics show that men are the highest in terms of suicide.
Yo.
But when you look around, I'm like, people, why no one's speaking about this and into this, you know? Then I write these books. Fatherlessness in South Africa, they talk about 60% average. 60% of the children do not have fathers at home. That is average. It means when you go race by race, looking at the blacks, you then end up with like roughly about 80%, you know? So that's quite big. So I'm like, what can I do? I then started immense brain dialogue. Let us gather men and talk about these issues. So, I mean, the list is endless where that thing is there. I feel like people are not saying much about, and then I jump in. So now when you look at me, it's like, hey, this guy in the purpose, but it's just mainly me trying to close the gap wherever I see my issues. Yeah.
Yo, bro.
So maybe to close this point, Uguti, what problems are there in front of you that are giving you a sleepless night, you know? Because I hold a view with when Mandela and Oliver Tambo were activists back then, there were people who were saying, guys, just chill. You know, there's nothing you can do to change this. The system is what it is. But these guys could not sleep at night, you know?
Sure.
So what is it that is making you not sleep at night? Because you'll be surprised, Uguti, you know, the calling lies in that, you know. And at times you look around because you feel like once I have this passion, everyone around me should have this passion, of which is not the case.
True.
You know? When I just chase that, the minute you chase it, you'll be surprised with how many people Unkulunkulu is going to raise, and then they connect with that, you know.
Sure, bro.
You know.
Yo, that's deep.
So, yeah.
You know, like speaking about like men committing suicide,
Yeah.
just heard like a guy in my community 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Young man shot himself, bro.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
sad.
and yeah, it's very sad, you know. And you speak about in your book the man who bends through the storm.
Yeah.
You know, we need to learn to bend and not to be strong, otherwise we'll
break.
We'll break.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
What gave you such a perspective?
I do try Uguti ama lento le. Like whenever I come up with a book title, one thing that drives me, of course I don't want to give it away for someone to read a book title and feel I know what it's going to talk about, you know. So when I come up with a title, I try to make sure Uguti that title should really make you read and be inquisitive even as you read, trying to really understand what I'm trying to say. Even the angles I use. I can write a book about fathering in the dawn, but the angle that I'm going to use, you know, is going to be different. So that was fascinating. I was reading a book, The Rule of Work, by an English writer. That's when I realized the thing, Muguti. He spoke about that thing, Muguti. When there's a storm, the trees that tend to survive are the ones that are not hard. They bend with the wind. It's fascinating. Aftermath, when they analyze, they realize the ones that were the strongest, they break. You know. So it was a concept that I felt. It's reflective of who we are as men, you know. The more we toughen up, we break. But to be able to be a man and not to be uma extremes, you know, be a man, know yourself, know who you are, but also be able to really, you know, tap into
Sure.
my emotions. I think it's quite something, you know.
Yo.
So just on that, the issue of your dad, you know, you shared when we were at a men's Brian dialogue. We were that side in Pangene, you know.
Yeah.
And you shared a story that really, you know, bengasas, you know, about how you lost your dad, you know. Do you mind just sharing on that?
Oh,
It's a big one.
That's a big one, bro.
But, you know, I'm not going to say who this was, but you know, when you try to say something and then you're trying to emphasize it, just like, it's a huge kind of a big one.
Yeah.
It's a huge kind of a big one.
It's a huge kind of a big one, but I think right now I'm in a state where it's no longer a wound, but it's a scar.
Yeah.
It's like it's healed.
Yeah.
You know, but basically, obviously grew up in the township in Bali. My father was in and out of our lives, but before he found work in Bangeni, don't know if you know the difference between Bangeni and Richards Bay.
I know.
But anyways, before he went to work at Transnet there,
So
he came back and we were a happy family. So I was possibly like 14 at the time, and then he went to work, and when I was 15, we were expecting him to come back home, you know, as usual. You know, it's December, you know, it's almost towards the end of the year, you know, and unfortunately, we were at school. And you know, when the teachers call you aside, you don't just call me to the headmaster's office, because I know I'm always in trouble, man. You know, I was not a.
no, we can tell.
Bro, I was not a well-behaved kid.
And tell who you were.
You know, I was not a well-behaved kid. I was not doing well in my grades. Bro, you can't call me to congratulate me. You know, and I was always a guy who helped my sister carry awards at school, you know,
Sure.
because she was a smart one. Anyways, so they call us, then they tell us to quickly go home. When we get home, mom is there. It puzzled me, what is mom doing at home at like 12:01 in the afternoon?
Yeah.
And then she was weeping and crying. What's happening? Our dad passed away.
Sure.
Now, it is how everything transpired, because there was I would say a serial killer. So he was living in where he's renting, and there's a forest, and ngale kwehlathi kukhona istophi to take taxes,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So whoever was killing people ehlathini, right? So the people bezwa iphunga, you know, I can't say they had the smell, but anyways, they had the smell, right?
Yeah.
And when they went close, there was a pile of bodies, and my dad's body was
Among those.
was the one on top, was, you know, and because he was a ladies' man, we wouldn't have thought that he might have died. My thinking would have been, he's
Somewhere,
gone,
yeah.
he's left us
Yeah.
again, type of situation. But fortunately, he had a clocking card from work,
Yeah.
so that's how they were able to identify him, you know. So there was and we didn't know who did this, and whoever did this was never found, and my mom just said, hey, the Lord will see.
Sure.
Right, but there was always like that painful story about Nzeleni in my life, you know. Ukuthi, there's a place called Nzeleni where they killed my father, you know. And then we went to a men's Brian dialogue hike, and I don't know if we passed there, but I saw a sign that said Enseleni, and memories just because the only frame of reference that you have about this place is your dad dying, and they shot him 12 times in his chest, and I had to be the guy who washed his body, because we were fulfilling some traditional things, because we were scared that somebody else is gonna die with this bamu and whatever. So, but it did leave like a massive trauma, for me, my siblings and mom. So basically, it did trigger. Even because I did not go. I don't think I've been to since Ellen. But seeing the sign El Komba Corner triggered the thing. Which this is the place that caused me.
That is really close by.
The deepest pain in my life. So basically, that was it.
Sure. Hey, sorry, Danoff. Yeah. Hey, that's it. There's a close by La Pesa Secona, there's a hospital, Ingwelezane Hospital. That's where my father died.
Sure.
And he was buried around the area.
Bro.
But was so cool. Then we moved to Escalade.
Sure.
So I'm very familiar with that place, So in the end of it, you said something that it's something that I think you can understand, Uguchi. Eskoleni, you were naughty and all that. So processing a grief as umuntu naughty, how did that really transpire? Because I mean, we can really, as human beings, we carry different masks.
Yes.
We know which mask to carry for whatever gathering or whatever event. If it's church, people will have different masks. And I've seen people battling with grief simply because they will just wear these masks,
Sure, bro.
And you find
that's
that
a powerful question, bro.
they have things that are unresolved, but somehow, if umuntu bubbly, I can just come up with a lot of jokes whenever I'm around people, and try to hide this thing, In your case,
so in my case, I think that's when. So now that I reflect back, it only makes sense now. I think that's when I started drinking heavily.
Sure.
Rebellion became my identity. Everything that you wanted to do, Elokishin, was to fit in. My mom would set rules that you need to be back at home at this time on a Friday. You come back drunk on a Monday morning, properly wasted, bro. I've gone to dangerous places as well.
I hear you,
bro. I remember so I happened to be a friend with an older gentleman who worked for a car rental company, who was saying these cars belong to him.
Wow. No, I know those are cars.
But this guy is so bro. We found ourselves in someone else's house because the wife was his girlfriend. Downtown Retief, those flats, and you're just like, bro, I lost it. And I didn't care. Even when I failed, because I failed school at during that year. I was doing grade 11. I just had no meaning.
That's big.
My meaning was found in style, in clothes. Clothes mattered a lot, but my parents never afforded any.
Sure.
And the validations that we have in Okshin, you can't just be a normal boy and be single in the township, And so I tried to to drown myself
Yeah.
in those things.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I went to to even look for girls.
Sure.
And then, bro, you know, prayer is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
So as I would come close to Invuselela's the NJ's toilet, bro, I would feel something like attracting me like this, you know. And now someone would preach, I raised my hand, not knowing what I was doing, you know. And then my mission would not be accomplished. You know. And then something changed when I found myself in a place of a connect, just a small group of believers. Incidentally as well, you know, a friend of mine was just said, "Come, let's hang out." I went there. Someone explained the story of Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, so why are you not shouting at me? Because people usually shout when they preach.
Yeah.
You know, it was really a conversation, you know. And then when I went home, I decided to give my heart to Jesus with an understanding at the time, you know. But that grief process really affected me big time. Had it not been for that friend of mine that invited me to that connect group, I think I'd be dead by now.
Sure. We thank God. Here you are. Social Gaches.
Yeah.
Siyabonga silenda ngoba la.
Silenda go. No, we've got time. We've got like even 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when I went through a grief, that thing, I was trying to be philosophical about this thing. I read a lot of books. I listened to my theologians handling issues on grief. I really immersed myself trying to understand God, pain and suffering, you know.
Sure.
I don't know. I listened to some of the things that were preached by people like 100 years ago.
What?
Just the topic of pain and suffering, you know, both books, of course. But one of the things that I really noticed about me, and also trying to apply my mind, Glenn Doguti, deep inside me, there was this thing of rebellion, you know. I was trying to formulate a way of hating God, you know, because I was upset, you know. So I remember that my mind was just all over the place, trying to get back at him, you know. Yeah.
Before you go deeper there, just contextualize for the sake of our audience who do not know what actually happened for you to get into a space of grief.
Oh, Napilo and I, we lost our firstborn in 6 months to hot death. He died in his sleep, you know. So yeah, it's very interesting that I'm talking about this because I keep telling God that, hey, God, I think I've exhausted the story now.
Sure.
You know, everywhere I go, somehow this thing comes up. You know, because I've written a book. I've been all over radio stations, even some of the TV channels, podcast as well. But just few. 2 weeks ago, I listened to an interview by the CEO of Coca-Cola. He said something very interesting. When your message starts to bore you, you feel like I'm tired of sharing the story. It's when people are beginning to really...
Yeah, it's like music, bro.
Even leadership, I've seen that now. I mean, after you said it, it's kind of like, you know, at times when it's your story, you feel like you've overshared it. But there's always someone new who wants to hear your story, you know. So that's what happened, you know.
Bro.
I went through all phases, of course, of grief, you know. But I think what fascinated me was when I tried to be philosophical and tried to really come up with a way I could get back at God, just to make him feel the pain, you know, because I had gone through this pain. And after I tried all possible ways I could have really hurt him, I realized that I couldn't, you know. Whatever way I was going to try to hurt him, I was going to end up hurting myself.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
I think that is quite intriguing, you know, that when God protects us from certain things, it's not because of his own benefits,
yes,
you know.
Yes.
but it's for us,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
not for selfish reasons,
Yeah.
you know. So I find that the reason why I'm raising that, when people are angry, even though at times they might not really point a finger,
Yes.
this is
This
and that,
is,
you know.
yeah.
But when you are angry, if frustration, whether uzogcina usuphuza utshwala,
Yes.
it's sleeping around, the drugs,
Yes.
all those things are hurting you know.
Yes.
You know, while you are doing them in anger, but you're like hurting you even further,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, because when people lose the mark or something bad happens to them and then they take this route, of course they are angry, they are rebellious, but in that rebellion, we are digging ourselves into an even deeper hole, you know.
True.
Yeah.
True. And the thing is that those things you try to find meaning, and those things, they break your heart.
Yeah.
Especially because now you chased after women as
Yeah.
well, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, with the intention is not really like to get married to those people,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And the people play each other,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
true.
you know, out there, you know. But I think for me, when giving my heart to the Lord just settled so much peace in me,
Yeah.
which I can be single and happy. I can wear shorts and come to the Lord, you know,
sure.
and come
Yeah,
into His
yeah,
presence.
yeah.
He doesn't reject me, you know. So I think that's when really my life started to take shape. Yeah. So yeah, and sometimes, yeah, I don't know how grief is processed, but I just know you just fall in God's presence even when you don't understand.
Yeah.
Because I remember I lost bro. I was I was leading a team, and one of the people in my team was a young girl who was probably doing grade 9 or grade 10, and very smart and loves the Lord, and she died of cancer.
Sure.
And it was so quick, bro. You know, oof, that was painful,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
Like that was really painful. But I remember that in those days, I would wake up in the morning and play worship and just be there and not have words to express and have my heart sink into God's presence.
Yeah.
Then I'd go on my day strengthening other people.
Yeah, yeah.
By the time I go back home, I'm depleted.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah,
finished.
yeah, yeah.
Tears running down my face, and nobody sees. You know, just a little. That was just something that I kind of learned about gratefulity. So it's either I understand it or I don't, and I don't understand the process. Let me rather be in God's presence, not knowing what to do even.
Yeah. That's deep.
You know, not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
I'm glad Oguti you could go into his presence, because some, of course, they will try and run away from a presence, yeah, okay, because of the questions that maybe they could be asking at that point in time, you know.
And God is not afraid of our questions.
No, I keep saying that. Yeah, yeah.
You know, He's not. They don't shock Him.
Yeah, the again, the issue, the problem of pain and suffering, you know. I've listened to some of the philosophers. You know, one thing that I admire with people that have been able to really listen, tackling these problems, Uguti, they don't try to come up with easy answers, you know. They respect you when you go through that. They don't come up with like, no, I've dealt with a lot of people who went through the similar problem as you, and then here's an answer, you know. But they're able to really come to your level, you know, listen to you, you know, and just watch you how you handle it, you know, without trying to pass a judgment.
That's true. That's
you
true.
know, I'm fascinated because I've just been going through some of Paul's letters, you know, and this morning, while I was still in bed, I was reading like the Philippians. Paul is in prison, and the guy is like really fired out, fired up about the gospel. You will think at that point in time you'll be crying to God, "Uguti, why are you keeping me here? Because
Sure.
I need to be out there and preach."
Yep.
Your
word.
Your word. Now that I'm here, things have like taken a break. Why? But his perspective is, I'm in chains for your gospel, and being here, I'm glad I get to preach to these people here.
Sure.
So people that I wouldn't like really get an opportunity to preach to. But now that I'm here, it's working out well for me to be here and preach, So this thing of us not having answers, but trusting God in whatever situation, there's something that God is doing with whatever situation. It might not make sense. It might be painful. But to get to a place where you're like, God is up to something.
Kukhona lento lesijwayele ukuyisho lethi uNkulunkulu akakuphi umthwalo ongaphezu kwamandla akho. uNkulunkulu uyakuphi umthwalo ongaphezu kwamandla akho. Awuthola nje umthwalo ongaphezu kwamandla akho.
Very true. That's deep what you're saying.
Bro,
that's deep.
Kodwa awukho ongaphezu kwamandla akhe. Ngoba
that's very deep.
Ngoba thina vele sibizela ukuthi sincike kuye. Kuzabhala ukuthi when I'm weak that I'm strong. Just your vulnerability.
No, that's very deep.
Umnikeza okungaphezu kwamandla akho, deliberately, so that we will learn to rely and to lean on him, and that's God's kindness. And I think one of the powerful things that one would do was, I think each challenge the people that see others going through pain, they tend to run away. And from one thing that I've observed is that the best thing to do with someone who's going through pain is to be there, and you don't and you don't have to have powerful words. Being present means a lot.
No, very true.
Bro, because people may even forget the words that you said per se, even in that moment. But the fact that you were present, it changes the way that they see the world.
No, it does.
No,
but they end up catching even those who are going through the hardest, because abanye abantu, they, like you were saying, they understand the Bible and how important it is, but they just need you there,
Sure.
So kwesinye isikhathi sizama ukubashumayeza abantu kanti at that point in time bedinga audience, umuntu ezohlala naye, So
yes.
Thank you so much for that. I think it's very powerful. In the end of it, when you reflect, who fathered you after Baba Hambile, even with community? Was there anyone that whenever you reflect, you think this person played a major role?
I think it's the fathers in the church, bro.
Yeah. How old were you at that time?
Probably 19.
19, okay.
Yeah, probably 19.
Yeah.
I think first of all, it changed the way I look at marriage.
Yeah, sure, that's beautiful.
Because the frame of reference that I had about marriage was wrong. Because you had to be a ladies' man even when you were married. You couldn't honor your wife because she needed to obey you. You understand? But to see couples that love God and that love each other genuinely changed the way that I see izinto. I think it's not one person, to be honest. I'd say Freedom. There's a guy called Freedom. I'd say Unzimande. I'd say Ubaba Zulu, definitely. I'd say Ubaba Gumede, definitely. Ubaba Gumede, every time he sees you, he wants to know your bank account.
I had something, yeah.
Bro, he wants to know your bank account.
Yeah.
So that one day when you say there's a girl that I like,
Yeah.
you've sorted that thing out, you know. Babndaba, you know, Grant.
Great guys.
Bro, Grant. And what I like about Grant specifically was he doesn't wait for you to qualify to do something.
No,
You know,
exactly.
it just throws you,
Yeah,
you know, sink
yeah.
or swim type of situation, you know. Even Victor Roberts, the first time I got involved, right now I'm running a production company. The first time I got involved in church was when a guy asked me to hold a camera. And he said, hold here, I'm coming back. He came back after church.
Sure.
And he said, you did a brilliant job.
Wow.
But when I reflect now, it was horrible.
Yeah, sure.
Because everything was out of focus. And I had to follow the preacher around. And that sparked the interest in media. Eventually, and now I'm serving in the media team.
Wow.
Now I'm doing sound, I'm doing projection.
Wow.
Now I'm touching a computer when I hadn't touched a computer in my whole life.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
computer ngangithinda kuyesascribe yathi kwi-dump site, you know, ufice i-keyboard laphayana, because you've seen this thing on TV, then uyashaya, you don't even know what you're doing, you understand? So I'd say the fathers in the church, you know, I think, and most of all, it's seeing them live their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand?
I hear you.
Yeah, in observing people, you know.
Yeah.
So it's been a series of men, and I learned this value, Uguti. You do not live your life in isolation, because isolation kills.
Yeah.
You know, you live your life in community.
Powerful.
You know, I remember when I almost messed up my life even. You know, I ran to one of those guys, told them the mess up that I had done, and gracefully they allowed me to walk with them. You understand? Because if you keep whatever you're doing in isolation, you're creating, it's a devil's playground. You understand? Even when I had porn addiction, you understand? When you speak it and then it's out there in the light, and there's people who are willing to walk with you and be gracious to you and tell you what they've been through stuff themselves. You understand? You are being able to be set free, because you are shining the light in the darkness. You know, and the darkness will surely flee. You know. Yeah, man. So I think it's been a team of men, seeing them how they lead, how they love the Lord, and how they love their families, and then how they love ministry.
Yeah.
You know. So, because if we switch it around, it's not healthy.
Sure.
You know, it's your relationship with God.
Yeah.
Then it's your relationship with the family.
Yeah.
Then it's ministry.
Wow.
You
Powerful.
know. Yeah.
Sure. No. I'm loving it. So I think for me, aligning with that, the things that we go through, they tend to like calibrate us, you know, and then all of a sudden you find yourself, you are a father, you know, and that thing of fatherhood in our memories that heal, whether with your own father or the community, you know, and to be able to do it in a way that when you reflect, you feel I'm not on the extreme, you know, I'm doing it the right way. Of course, we are forever learning, you know, but I just want to hear your thoughts, because I felt it was even some people have observed it becomes emotional without them uttering any words, you know. Where you find yourself on the extreme, where you are overdoing things because you know you never had, you know, instead of just being a father and trust God to walk with you, you know.
Sure.
I don't know. What are your thoughts around that? I think I've seen that. I've even covered it on some of my books because, especially the fathering and the dawn, where there is the challenge when you've never been really fathered, where you are figuring this thing out, and now you're here.
Of being a father.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, first of all, I have a beautiful daughter.
Yeah.
Others are coming.
Yeah.
I think I'm exploring this this thing called fatherhood.
Yeah.
I don't have it all figured out. I'm just taking it one day at a time, to be honest. I think if I am to be a good father to my children, I need to submit my heart to our Heavenly Father so that He teaches me how to father well. And also something actually, it's we make all these promises and say we'll be there for our children all the time, and sometimes we miss them. But you just need to be able to do it freely, to lead freely. And also, what did I learn from you again, man? Because it's really something that I learned from you. What's it, you as your father, you're not perfect, and as you see these children make mistakes, it's a reflection of how we of how we
had a church on Saturday.
Yes, of how Tina reflects khona noNkulunkulu, so it's a new world for me, but I've had an opportunity to be able to mentor a lot of younger people.
Beautiful.
I think the most challenging thing for me is when you see someone's potential and they don't see it at all. When you see the call of God in someone's life and they live opposite, man. I think that's a struggle that I wrestle with. And I remember this guy, I think it was like a good 3 to 4 years, inviting him, doing all the right things to bring him in on board, to show him this is the possibility, this is where your life could go, and he would live totally different. But then when it clicked, my friend, then he moved. You understand?
Sure. Beautiful.
So I do have that view of foresight. I don't want to see you as you are. I want to see you as you could be. You understand?
Beautiful.
I want to see possibilities. I can be overly optimistic. So I think the challenge with that is that even when people betray you, you don't see it.
Sure.
You understand? Even when people would intentionally want to hurt you, when you still want to believe something, or it's you who's possibly done something wrong to cause them to do harm. God, that was their intention from the beginning type of situation. So, but I cannot help myself, but I see possibilities. I see you beyond the stage that you are in.
Wow.
You could be emkhukhwini njengamanje, but I don't see just what the flesh sees. You understand? Everyone has potential to be great and to impact the world and to impact others. And you can take a better decision today. But what really shapes me is just like what can I say? What made me think that way was after I messed up leading a team for a year. I led a team of 30 people, but about 120 people came through that team. So the front door was open, but the back door was also as open. So people were coming and leaving my team, you understand? But what I realized after 12 months reading the Bible was that Jesus cared about his disciples more than their function.
That's beautiful.
They mattered as people,
That's beautiful.
not as machines. And what I was, what I had been focusing on was function. When you come in here, this is what you do, and not really focusing on their relationship.
Yeah.
And I was just, oh, Jesus was hanging out with his disciples. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
he cares.
Yeah. That's big.
It clicked very late
That's
to me
big.
when I just dropped the ball,
Yeah.
So now that changed my leadership style, in terms of Uguti. It's relationship before function, and not just based on words. And I also read a book called The 5 Love Languages, around that time, and I was extremely single.
Sure. Yeah.
And I read a book for couples, but that book taught me a lot about how people feel and how I should be considerate in engaging other people, not through what I think they need to process things, but I just need to love and care for them. I hope it answers your question.
No. It does. Mhlampe just the last question on that topic.
Yeah.
The thing of fathering, I've seen, also interacted and also observed where people who are early stages of fathering, it's like they're trying to father themselves, that gap,
Sure.
it's like you grow up without this, so I'm going to make sure that I go all out and buy you this, this used to happen to me, so I'm going to,
Yeah.
some of it might be good, but I don't know. You find that your emotions are somehow playing you,
Yes.
because you haven't dealt with your own past
Sure.
to really resolve some of the issues and come to that point where you realize, let's say, I understand that this is how I was raised, this is what I lacked, and this is what I got.
And it's a different generation.
It's a different generation, but
Sure.
Yeah, I've seen that some of it is being done in a nice way, but later on you find somebody complaining, like, hey, I never used to have this, like all of a sudden,
Sure.
yeah, it keeps coming
Hey,
out
I used to
somehow.
walk to school. Now,
Yeah, no,
now we
it's-
drive you to school.
It's there, You guys are a weaker generation and all that.
Sure.
We with strong and tougher,
Sure.
So I tend to see that now and then,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yo, it's crazy, bro. I have a question for you from your wife.
From,
Yeah. So,
okay. Not a problem.
yeah. How would you advise a young man who wants to get married today after everything that you have observed about you and your marriage? I did call her and asked her to ask a question.
I did not see this one coming.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm contemplating on this one, I have a challenge with coming up with easy answers to difficult questions. Please ask this question once more, and then I'm just going to shoot straight.
Okay. What do you say to a young man who wants to get married and have a wife right now, after everything that you've experienced in your life and marriage?
Yeah, sure. There's a hierarchy that I had you highlight. We are all aware, most of us are aware of it. It's God, it's family, and the ministry, I think it comes back to that. What I've seen, people are not complete. People are shaped by their past, So you meet someone and you interact with them, you don't really get to go back to understand who they are and how they were wired and how they were shaped, So the encounter with God, for me personally, it really played a major role, kind of like took me back to some of the things that maybe I wasn't willing to talk about, But that encounter kind of like really took me back that route, you know. I think I'm gonna ramble a bit on this
Go for
one.
it.
I've seen people, especially in marriages, starve. And in them starving, struggle to really know why they are starving and what could be the food that can nourish them, you know. And in them struggling to understand that, they find themselves turning to their partners, expecting them to fill this gap that only God can fill,
Sure.
you know. So, to young men who might be listening right now, if you can get closer to God, it might sound cliche, but I think it's something that I really think helps, you know. When you have that interaction with the word and God is able to speak to you, I think He's able to close that void that when we jump into marriage prematurely, not really understanding who we are, we find ourselves putting more strain on others, expecting them to really do what only God can do. And when I analyze marriages, there's this thing I would say it's ebbs and flows where it's like this wave that comes back and go in. But when you really try to sift through the noise and understand what people are going through, it's like there is this void that I have that I feel you are not doing enough to really close. But when you look at that void, you're like, but only God can do that, you know. So when God has closed those things, when God has taken you back to your past and some of the late minds that might be there, God has dealt with that. Whatever that needed to explode has exploded. You've gone through whatever emotions you needed to go through, and now you are here, not whole, but you are here having been dealt with by God, and now you're able to really be here. And you're not going to put a strain on anyone because you know, Uti, I have the best relationship with you in this marriage, but I know your limits and I know what God is able to really do.
Sure.
So, from what I've noticed, people are going through a strain, because they're like, I love this person and I'm trying my best, but they are not getting it. And the reason why they're not getting it is because they are trying by all means as well, but they can't do it.
Sure.
Sometimes we expect our partners to do what only God can do. So that's what I'm trying to say.
God is love.
God is love, yeah.
Oh, yo,
Yeah.
that's deep. Okay.
I was trying to be basic.
That's very deep. Can I ask you the last question?
By all means, man.
Please take this phone.
As
Pick
in,
it
like,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, put it here.
Yeah.
Right now you're calling Thulani Yeyeye Gumede at 15 years old. Like
15.
And you're giving him some life advice. What would you say to him?
Yo, bro, there's so much that is not making sense right now, but just trust the process, Whatever that God has instilled in you will come to fruition. Just trust the process. Trust the process.
Sure. Trust the process.
Yeah, that's all.
That's us. God is love.
Thank you.